Dear Dad, it's been 15 years since you left us. A lot has changed, but I think I'd be making you proud. A degree from SC State and USC Law. You would love my wife, Jill, and I represent our community in the State House. But now I'm doing something bigger, running for Senate to continue fighting for our community, creating opportunities and protecting the rights of those who need a voice. Because Dad, that's the world you taught me to believe in.
It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, it's showtime. I am back. I am glad to be back. I hope you are glad that I am back. I hope you had a great Memorial Day holiday weekend. A salute, shout out to the men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice. Rest in power, rest in peace, rest in heaven to the men and women of this country that gave their life to defend our freedoms and democracy. And then we have people who want to take away those freedoms and end this democracy and take away our freedoms and oppress us. We're going to get into that. The Geno Jones Show live Monday through Friday. Unless it's a holiday like yesterday was. Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. on the West Coast. Subscribe, share, screen grab, rip the video. Let's make it go viral because I am back, my first day back from a little mini kind of Memorial Day holiday vacation. And this monologue is going to be fire, so you want to make it go viral. And then on top of it, my guest, South Carolina State Senator Deon Tedder. As a matter of fact, the primaries, early voting for the Republican, the Democratic and Republican primaries here in the state of South Carolina began today. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to repeat it until you all get tired of hearing it. I'm going to repeat it until you wake up in the middle of the night hearing my voice. These elections, and this main election that is 160 days away, November 5th, even though in a lot of cases you can and you should vote early. It is not a personality contest. It is not a horse race. So forget these polls. You are choosing between people who want you to be free. You are choosing between your freedom and your family's freedom and your oppression. Because you have one group of people, one party, and nobody's paying me, I'm nobody's payroll, but you have one party that, as flawed as democracy is, still believes in your freedoms and are fighting and doing everything they can for you to not just maintain the freedoms that you have, but expand your freedoms and rights, voting rights and civil rights and women's reproductive freedom rights and all of it and a whole lot more. And you have another cult. It's not a political party. You have a cult that wants to oppress you, and they've got a 1,000-page plan. They're so bold with it, it's in writing. You can download it, Project 2025. Don't take my words for it. They want you to know. You can download it in a PDF form on your computer or on your tablet. That's your choice. These elections, you're choosing between your freedom and your oppression. The Geno Jones Show is brought to you by CM Transportation. If your business needs a dependable, reliable, on-time transportation company, CM Transportation. Shout out to the CEO, Carissa Carter. She is the CEO of CM Transportation, and you can contact her, area code 843. They're based here in the Charleston, South Carolina Metro, 843-606-2702. 843 area code 606-2702, or just go to www.cmtransportationllc.net. CM like Mary, cmtransportationllc.net. All right, so let me go ahead, let me kind of shift gears before I shift back into choosing between your freedom and your oppression. Shout out to Steph Curry and his wife, Aisha, child number 4. Still got a little way to go to catch up with Nick Cannon, Steph. This is child number 4. Nick's got what, 11, 12? Man, he's got a whole starting football team on one side of the ball. Steph Curry and Aisha, their fourth child, their second son, named Caius or Caius. They should spell it. It wasn't spelled phonetically, but I believe it's either Caius or Caius Curry. So congratulations to Steph and Aisha, and to his two older sisters. And then he's got, so his first two kids were girls, and then he had a son, and now he's got a second son. So they got a brand new baby brother in the family, so congratulations. Happy birthday, happy 80th birthday to Gladys Knight. Icon, legend, happy 80th birthday to Miss Knight doing her thing. And if you are a fan of Nicki Minaj, she got in a little trouble over in Amsterdam. Look, y'all got to, when you all are going to these foreign countries, listen, check your bags, okay? Make sure you don't have your weed and your edibles, because these foreign countries are pretty serious. They are serious and severe about even weed, marijuana, edibles. So Nicki Minaj, she apologized. She had to cancel a concert she was supposed to do, I think, in Amsterdam. She was in the Amsterdam airport. That's in the Netherlands. If you don't know where it's at, Google the Netherlands. Amsterdam is like the capital city, the largest city. So she got arrested in the airport in Amsterdam on suspicion of carrying drugs. Just say no or just leave them home. Or when you get there, you know, I'm sure there's a weed man in every country. So whoever the promoter is, you know, have them plug you in. Maybe don't put that in the contract writer, but just tell old boy, or maybe it's a woman promoter, that, you know, have your people talk to their people and let them plug you into the weed, man. I'm just saying. But check your bags before you travel. That's for anybody, right? Okay. 160 days until Election Day. Early voting for the primaries here in the state of South Carolina began today. A shout out to Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro and two January 6 police officers who were defending our country and our democracy and the U.S. Capitol. They were at the New York City courthouse in front, where your boy Orange Hitler has been just lying and is standing there just talking crazy. So Robert De Niro flipped it. He was out in front of the courthouse where Donald Trump, a.k.a. Orange Hitler's trial, is going on. And closing arguments are today. The prosecution is actually trying to finish up their closing arguments for today. I digress. But shout out to Robert De Niro, who basically said, listen, he warned that if Trump is elected, you can kiss away the freedoms that we take for granted and the elections. You can forget about it because he will never leave. He, talking about Orange Hitler. That's Robert De Niro. Mr. De Niro, huge fan. Thank you for using your voice and your platform and your celebrity to, once again, to let people know you are choosing. It's not a popularity contest. It's not a beauty contest. It's not a personality thing. It's not even this horse race. It is a binary choice. Binary is two. You're choosing between your freedom and those who want to oppress you and your family and children and grandchildren, even your unborn grandchildren and great-grandchildren. All right, so just beware. 160 days. But if you can vote early, like in your primaries, you can do that now. And before I bring on my guests, let me just shout out. I need to shout out to specifically my brothers, my black men, who some have said, well, Geno, what's this democracy thing? You know, we as black people, black men, you know, we ain't never had full rights. No, you're right. Absolutely. When the Constitution originally was written, we as black people, were in writing, 3/5 human. Women weren't even mentioned in the Constitution. And for all the institutional and systemic racism that we have to deal with in every area, education, law, business, banking, housing, insurance, police brutality. If you think that we as black men have had it rough, to kind of paraphrase the song, old school song, Bobby Womack Rest in peace. If you think you're lonely now, whew, if you think it's bad now, mess around and let the folks that's got Project 2025 get in control. If you think police brutality was bad, Trump is going to give police and wannabe police like Dylan Roof and George Zimmerman and Kyle Rittenhouse and Derek Chauvin and George Zimmerman, he will give them a license to shoot and kill black people and black men. And then for the police to have immunity from being convicted and put in jail, like Derek Chauvin, who is in jail for killing George Floyd. So brothers and sisters, and not just black folks, my brown brothers and sisters, and my Asians, and even my white brothers and sisters, the anti-racists, they're not just gonna come for us as black people. Take a look at Project 2025. When they say they'll send the National Guard and the Marines and the Army and the military into cities to put down peaceful protest and to shoot to kill. Remember, Orange Hitler, when he was in office, when you had the George Floyd protest in D.C., he asked his defense secretary at the time, Mark Esper, Google it, can't we just shoot him? And Mark Esper said, no, we don't do that in America. Oh, but they will if you mess around if you want to. And I could go on and on and on, but I want to bring on my guests. I'll be going over this all week long. Once again, this election, it's not a beauty contest. It's not a popularity contest. It's not a personality contest. It's not the lesser or two evils. You're choosing freedom or your oppression. And if you decide to sit it out, don't worry, because if the Project 2025 crew gets in office, you won't be able to vote in any other election. Please. But Google Project 2025. Take a look at it. See for yourself. And if you don't understand everything, holler at me. I'll explain it to you. We're going to talk about it some more tomorrow. But I want to bring on my guest. He is a South Carolina State Senator. He was a state representative. Full disclosure, he was my state representative. I lived in this district, and I'm so happy and proud of this brother. He's just a force of nature, a dynamic, handsome young brother, got a beautiful family, but the brother is sharp, and he is putting in the work up in our state capital, up in Columbia, South Carolina. I am honored to introduce my state senator here in South Carolina, Mr. Deon Tedder, looking very presidential, my brother.
Thank you, Geno. What's going on? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I hope you had a good holiday.
Oh yeah, definitely. Not much relaxation on the campaign trail,
Yes.
knocking doors and out in the community as usual. But was happy to have a day off from being in the office at least.
Absolutely. Well, listen, for those who may not be familiar with your campaign here in South Carolina, or maybe anywhere, like I said, full disclosure, I lived in your district when you were my state rep, and I'm just really proud of the work that you've done. A lot of people, they do a lot of talking, but they don't put in the work. You've been putting in the work. What was your inspiration? Why are you running to be state senator?
Yeah, so it really goes back to when I was an undergrad at South Carolina State University. HBCU proud. I'm a first generation college student. My parents didn't go to college. They didn't have that opportunity. And so while I was at SC State, I had the opportunity to intern in DC on Capitol Hill at 19 years old for the late Senator Ted Kennedy, who was known as the Lion of the U.S. Senate. Very smart and was a Democrat. And so really just kind of jumped in there. And what amazed me was all of the people that were making very important decisions about all of our lives. But I don't think at that point, there was nobody that looked like you and I. And so it was just interesting to be exposed to that, have that opportunity. And so really a lot of my parents' sacrifices too, man, just seeing how the system works, uh, all their sacrifices, I find it incumbent upon me to use what I've gained and my successes um, to give back, to uplift the younger generation, to show that we too can do great things and continue to strive, but mostly just passionate about being able to utilize my skills and be in this space at the table, having a voice to speak up for others who are disenfranchised.
Like I mentioned earlier in the show, earlier in the monologue, just a few minutes ago, early voting here in South Carolina began today. There's still a lot of challenges that we are facing here in South Carolina, and a lot of these same challenges are challenges that many states are facing nationwide. Voter disenfranchisement. You had the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, basically that said that, oh, it's okay for politicians in South Carolina to disenfranchise and to basically rig or gerrymander. Translation for the brothers and the sisters in the barbershop and the hair salons, gerrymandering is just rigging a system to where they can keep a group of people politically powerless, or having enough political power to really make a difference in voting. Not to mention, it's a state where there's a 6-week abortion ban. It's a state to where basically anybody 18 years of age, you don't need a permit, you don't need a license, you can just get a gun and carry it,
Yeah.
which I don't understand. I would think if nobody else, law enforcement would be against that, because that makes their job more dangerous, and it really puts all of us in danger. And I know you've talked about a lot of these issues, so I just want to give you the floor, let you address some of those issues we just talked about.
Yeah, so I mean that's and you hit it right on the head. I mean that's why, this and we say every time this is the most important election you have, but really this election is so consequential. Um, we could lose our democracy. And the things you just talked about, the 6-week abortion ban. So we see what's happening at the federal level with the way they rolled back Roe versus Wade, the protections for women to have a right to privacy, to make their own decisions. And then we see it trickle down to the states.
And and
But
let me
that,
just jump in, Senator Tedder. I apologize, but because you touched on something, and I touched on it, but I want the people to hear from you, because you are in a position to make a difference. Because I addressed not just the black community, but specifically black men. And here we are,
Mhm.
two black men, and a lot of times I know you've had conversations like I have had. You've heard some of the things where, brothers will be like, well, man, it ain't gonna make no difference, and, I ain't really had them many freedoms, or, democracy hadn't really worked that well for me as a black man. It hadn't worked. It hadn't worked the way it should have, or
right.
have, but it could get a whole lot worse. So please speak to that, to those, especially black men and black women, but specifically the black men that feel it don't make a difference. I don't need to vote, or maybe if this cult, as I call it, that wants to implement Project 2025, if things may be bad now, but they could get a whole lot worse. I want you to speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, they could be just like you said, it's we have rights that so many of our ancestors fought for, they died for, just the right for us to really go have an education, um, desegregation, going to school, having the right to vote. Those types of things that we take for granted, those protections, the right to privacy, the right against illegal searches and seizures, that you can just be a black man and walk down the street without the police stopping and frisking you because that's unconstitutional. Those types of things can and I believe will be rolled back if we don't take this election serious. And so I've talked to people and I've heard that when I'm in the barbershop and I try to engage and explain it from a level where we understand it because we got to look at the big picture. And so while yes, we may not, it may not be seem beneficial directly to us, or we may be still going through some struggles, but at the same time, at the end of the day, they're showing you their hand. I mean, you just talked about it, the gerrymandering. They just packed a bunch of black people in one congressional district so that we can only have one representative in Congress. It's the little things like that. Why is that important? Because I mean that's our voter block. We don't have anybody to fight for us in DC except for one person on the Democratic side, and they're taking away those opportunities for us to be able to change the narrative because of that district. And for those that don't know, the district that Nancy Mace holds, that was a flippable seat, meaning it could go either way, Republican or Democrat. And they knew that. And so they redrew the lines and took out a lot of black people and moved us all into Congressman Clyburn's district.
And as a
And
matter of
so,
fact, Senator Teddy, let me just jump in to piggyback on that. A Democrat had won that seat, and after he
right,
won, that's when they went in and rigged
exactly.
and gerrymandered that district so another Democrat would not win that district.
Right. And it's things like that. And they're not even trying to hide it. I mean, we just saw the Supreme Court roll back affirmative action. That protects us minority students getting in colleges. Now they can't take into consideration race. They're eliminating diversity programs at top universities. Um, so we're going back to the time where we won't even be able to be enrolled or apply to colleges that are not HBCUs. Specifically in this Supreme Court decision that was just passed down about the gerrymandering, Clarence Thomas opined or wrote that he went a step further and said that he believes the court overstepped in Brown versus Board of Education. So that tells me that that's coming next. That's the next attack,
Yes.
the desegregation of schools. So they're going to go back there, and so it's a lot at stake. To simple freedoms that we enjoy, like going to the grocery store. I mean, this is serious stuff that I never thought in my lifetime I would see, because that's what I used to read about in the history books growing up. That grandma told you this is what we fought for, and the times where they had to deal with certain things. We're starting to deal with some of those same things, and it's scary, and we got to take it serious, man. We really do.
Senator Tedder, you were on the front line, and I'll let you speak to the voters here in South Carolina. What are I'd say the top three priorities, if you want to kind of give us a Cliff Notes version of the three top items that you will continue to be fighting for or to fight for once you are sworn. We're gonna name it and claim it that you're gonna be here
Yeah,
permanently. So I believe in speaking. Words are powerful.
you do.
The tongue carries the power of life and death. And my grandmother said, Jeannie, name it and claim it, speak it into existence. So what are maybe the top two or three things that you'll be fighting for to protect a lot of the freedoms for us here in South Carolina? Maybe some things that we may not even think about every day.
Right. And so my top three priorities, since I first ran for House, always been public education, criminal justice reform, and housing. Those are my top three. And a lot of things trickle down from that. But just for an example, I mean, when it comes to protecting our rights within the criminal justice system, you touched on earlier that the General Assembly passed a law that they call constitutional carry. So this allows anybody 18 and up to carry a gun concealed or open without any training or knowledge about how to operate a gun, without any permit. So you don't need a CWP anymore. And so within that, you have these caveats where now the question becomes, well, how is law enforcement going to determine who can legally carry and who can't? And so this came up on the floor in debate in the Senate. And so they asked a question, and I said, well, I'm going to tell you how it's going to happen. It's going to be racially profiling. And because if I'm walking down the street with my gun on my hip legally, just like they passed a law, and a white brother's doing the same thing, they're going to stop me first and they're going to question me. They're going to run your ID. That's the only way they can tell if you are a felon or not. But the way the law is written, they shouldn't be able to do that. So that's why I got an amendment adopted that prohibits that. An officer cannot just approach you for simply following the law, because that's racially profiling. So we need people that's going to point out and see these loopholes where they get to do stop and frisk. And I stopped that just in my first 4 months in the Senate. So it's little things like that that we need people to be looking into.
So early voting started today. I'll let everybody know where they can support the campaign if they want to learn more about you and what you stand for. Like once again, I'm just so excited. We need more people. We need more people in our state houses, our state representatives, in the U.S. House, U.S. senators like you who are, as the kids say, standing 10 toes down, standing on business, committed to the community and committed to the culture. I learned something a long time ago. They are politicians and they're public servants. And I've watched the way you've been moving and the way you've moved, and I always see you operating from at least from the outside, from what I see. And I've known you for a while, had the honor to know you, that you approach your job as a public servant. Your focus is to really serve the public and serve the people. So I just want to thank you for that. And let everybody know once again where they can follow the campaign, they want to support the campaign in any way, what to do, and some tips about voting, and when does the early voting end, and of course election day is June 11th.
Right, and so you can go to my website. It's just my first and last name, DeonTedder.com.
And
I'm
that's
on social media.
We'll make sure they spell it right.
Oh yeah,
DEON.
DeonTedder.com. And on social media, just Deon Tedder. I keep it real simple so that you can find me. And June 11th is the primary, but early voting, as he stated, started today, goes through June 7th. So you can vote Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. At your early voting locations. And if you need to find that out, you can go to scvotes.gov, and it'll tell you where. But I know for Charleston County, the Election Commission, you can vote there. Yeah, so we definitely got to get out and do it early, because you never know what can happen on election day. It may be a family emergency or something where you just can't make it. And so that's why we have early voting. And to touch on that, that's another right that we enjoy.
Yes.
I was at a conference last week, and some people were talking about how their states have rolled back. They've taken away the right to early vote. They only have it where one day, and that's disenfranchising voters, because a lot of our families, a lot of our people, we work. We don't work we work the 9 to 5, but then we have people that work odd hours, and so early voting is to give everybody a chance and an opportunity to exercise that right to vote. And so we still have people fighting against that. We have bills in the state legislature here to roll that back. So it's very important that we really take this right and this opportunity seriously.
And I think they should make voting. Listen, we just came off of Memorial Day holiday weekend. It was a long weekend, 3, maybe 4 days. Some folks maybe got Friday off or worked a half a day. I think we should have a voting holiday, 3-4 days, where you can and paid leave. If you're going to vote, I don't care, public or private job, it should be in law to where you are given the time to take off to go vote without worrying about your pay being docked. It's a paid leave. I think that should be law, but that's, hopefully that's something we can even make happen here. So that,
Right.
I know you got a long list of things. Maybe we can throw that on the list.
Yeah, we're trying to. One thing I'm working on is trying to, just automatic voter registration.
Like
Just like when we turn 18, we all automatically get, where we can be drafted. And so where when you get your license, you turn 18, it automatically registers you to vote in the county where you get your driver's license, or if you don't have a driver's license, where you get your identification card. And so those are the things that we're trying to push, but the other side are pushing back against it, because it just gives us more of an opportunity to exercise our freedoms.
Senator Tedder, keep fighting the great fight. You have a permanent home. Always, you're a part of the Geno Jones Show family. May God continue to bless and have favor on you, your family, and your campaign and your work up there in Columbia, South Carolina. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on again.
All right, thank you.
All right. That is our senator, my senator here, South Carolina State Senator. I just need to click a little button real quick there. Really just a dynamic young man. Just really proud of the brother doing great work. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. Let me just I need to move a screen over here, y'all. There we go. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you. You and especially you. God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. Monday through Friday, my normal start days and times. Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out in L.A. Subscribe, share, screen grab, rip the video. Let's make it go viral. Let's make this show go viral. Subscribe, share, screen grab, like, and binge watch all my back episodes. The Geno Jones Show, brought to you by CM Transportation, www.cm like Mary, CM Transportation, LLC.net. If your business needs a transportation company that is dependable, reliable, and on time, not on CP time, if you know what I'm saying, contact Miss Carissa Carter. She is the CEO, or anyone with the company, CM Transportation, LLC.net, or 843 area code, once again, 606-2702. Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show, CEO of Designer Cuts here in the Charleston, South Carolina Metro. Check him out on IG, on Instagram, Kel Be Cutting Up, KELBECUTTINUP. And Allie Jones is, I call her, the drip director. She's the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. You can check her and check out her collection, her Lexi Jones collection, on IG, on Instagram, lx.ncl underscores, that little dash behind that second at the bottom and behind the second L. lx.ncl underscore. Happy birthday to my sister. I have two sisters, the baby girl, Angela Chambers Jones, and happy birthday to Nanette. I'm the oldest, she's the middle child. Happy birthday, Nanette. I love you. And as always, I'm praying for you, and we are all praying for you, for your happiness and just your health and happiness and peace of mind. So your big brother loves you. I'm proud of you. All right, everybody, let me get out of here. Thank you for watching. The next live edition of the Geno Jones Show is going to be on Wednesday, Working Divas Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. on the West Coast. Thank you for watching live, everybody. And if you didn't see me live, but you're watching now, once again, tell everybody, subscribe, share, screen grab, rip the video, make it go viral. Had a great conversation with our state senator here in South Carolina, Dion Tedder, who's running for the permanent seat here in the state of South Carolina. So if you missed any of that conversation, go back and watch this and binge watch this and all my back episodes right now. And I'll see you live Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Dear Dad, it's been 15 years since you left us. A lot has changed, but I think I'd be making you proud. A degree from SC State and USC Law. You would love my wife, Jill, and I represent our community in the State House. But now I'm doing something bigger, running for Senate to continue fighting for our community, creating opportunities and protecting the rights of those who need a voice. Because Dad, that's the world you taught me to believe in.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.